Hey, Viking fans, Cy Amundson here with the Vikings Entertainment Network, and we are going to get you all ready for the 2020 NFL Draft. We're going to be going position by position with our experts, breaking down some of the possible picks that could fit well with your favorite team. And we're going to start off by being joined by former NFL wide receiver, current BEN contributor, Ron Johnson. And Ron, we have you because with the departure of Stefon Diggs for the first time in a while, the Vikings could possibly find themselves going after a highly touted wideout.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to when they drafted Laquan Treadwell, that was kind of the thought then at number 21. Nobody knew Stefon Diggs. Nobody knew what Adam Thielen could do either. So Laquan Treadwell was technically the first time in a while they had tried it. Didn't work out because, as we know, Stefon Diggs and Adam Thielen became huge stars. But in this year's draft, it's very unique for the simple fact of 22 and 25, and that they are able to go after a receiver. They can package the deal, go up higher, maybe package some other picks, come back into the first round and get a tackle. So I'm excited because you are going to look at a guy like Kirk Cousins, who we know they're a run-first team, but he can sling the ball, and you're going to need a guy. I mean, you're never going to really replace Stefon Diggs, but you're going to need a guy to help out Adam Thielen so he's not getting double-teamed every game.
And this is a perfect year to be kind of faced with that problem, Ron, because this draft is wall-to-wall with wide receiver studs. You sent me a list of some of the guys that you think would fit particularly well with the purple. So I want to run through those, and I want to start out with a guy that everybody's talking about, Oklahoma wideout and incredible, cool name haver, CeeDee Lamb.
Fires a bullet back in the end zone to CeeDee Lamb. Tunnel screen, CeeDee Lamb trying to get outside, and does. CeeDee Lamb stays on his feet, and he will go the distance.
Yeah, I mean, this draft for real with receivers is the names of all names draft. I mean, it's going to be some really cool ones out there. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, at 6'2", he's unique because he doesn't look 6'2" when he plays. When he plays, he reminds you of a 6-foot or 5'11" receiver, just the way he's able to move, the body control, his ability to get open in zone holes. But he reminds me, honestly, of DeAndre Hopkins, a little bit bigger, but he has that same body control. He has that same ability and smooth route running. He's not herky-jerky. You don't see a lot of wasted movement, and that's what DeAndre Hopkins does. CeeDee Lamb could be that guy for a team, and for the Vikings, he fits because he's a self-starter, and he's not a guy that needs 14 catches a game to kind of get into the game like DeAndre Hopkins. Every once in a while, you'll see Hop have 5 catches, but they're huge plays, and he takes them as they come. CeeDee Lamb at Oklahoma, the way that explosive offense worked, he was the same way where you wouldn't see him for a while. Then all of a sudden he'd explode on the scene with a big catch, and then he kind of build from there with the rest of the game. And we know this is a run-first offense. At 6'2", he's a good blocker. And that's another part of the Vikings offense with receivers that they need is guys that are willing to block down the field. So Dalvin Cook in the second level is not getting tackled.
Well, from one major college program to another, we got back-to-back Bama guys here that you like. Let's start out with the first guy, Jerry Jeudy.
One of the best ever at wide receiver for the Crimson Tide.
Get it to Jeudy.
In zone. Touchdown. Guess who?
Right back to him again. Able to beat a man in space. Down the sideline. Jerry Jeudy, what an effort.
Yeah, I mean, again, another name, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, it's just a name that's just marketable. You can throw that on any box of any item and you're going to sell it. But Jerry Jeudy sells himself when you watch him on film. He's kind of like Odell Beckham, but a little more herky-jerky. But when I say Odell Beckham, I just mean when he gets the ball in his hands, he can take a hitch, a slant, or even a reverse to the house. And that's what Odell Beckham does. Jeudy is going to have to learn where he fits in an offense because he's not a line of scrimmage guy. He's a guy at Alabama that motioned a bunch. And so Jerry Jeudy to a team could come in like a Calvin Ridley did to the Falcons and be somebody's, Robin to their Batman right away, where if he went to the Saints or somewhere like that. But with the Vikings, again, he could be a very complimentary piece to Adam Thielen because Thielen's going to be your bigger body receiver where Jeudy is going to kind of be your Stefon Diggs replacement. And I think he actually fits, but you're going to have to jump up high to get Jeudy, not to pun on words, but you're going to jump to get Jeudy because he's going to be a top 15 taking receiver. But there are so many other receivers in this draft that if you don't want to jump to get them, there's other guys.
Yeah, and one of those other guys is the complementary piece to JEUDY on the other side of that field for Alabama, Henry Ruggs III. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I liked Henry Ruggs the first. I really liked Henry Ruggs the second, but the third, I mean, we always know the trilogy is the best.
Quick slant complete, Henry Ruggs. You can forget it. Fastest guy on the Alabama team.
End zone. It's caught for a touchdown. It's a pass out to Ruggs, who's got plenty of daylight. First play of the game. How many times have you seen this? 75 yards.
And so when you're looking at Henry Ruggs, he's a guy that played alongside Jerry Jeudy. And a lot of times when you play with a Biletnikoff candidate receiver, you don't get to shine. But Henry Ruggs shined where this is going to be the first time in a while where you see two receivers from the same team go in the first round. And I think he's a guy that can be a Tyreek Hill for a team. He's a home run hitter. His top end speed is absolutely ridiculous. He's a gamer. When you turn on the film, his route running and some of that stuff's going to need to get worked on a little bit more in the NFL. And so when you look at where Ruggs could fit, he has to fit into a system where you're not asking too much of him too soon, because like Tyreek Hill, he's going to have to learn how to run NFL caliber routes. But I mean, he's a guy that you're going to have to bet high on, and then he could pay off with a high reward later.
Clemson, T. Higgins.
He came up with it. Going for Higgins. It's a touchdown. What a grab by Higgins. The deep ball to Higgins. He got it. Touchdown. Clemson has the lead.
Yeah, this guy's my favorite. Of course, I mean, I'm 6'3", 230 pounds, so I love big receivers. T. Higgins is a different animal. I mean, he is a beast. If you watch him play, you'll think you're watching Devontae Adams because his routes are smooth. He commands the middle of the field. He's a really good slot receiver. And you don't hear that a lot from a guy that's 6'4". But T. Higgins at 6'4" can also play that big man basketball, football, where just post me up and throw it up high, kind of like Kirk Cousins did with Kyle Rudolph. Now you have a guy that can get down the field, and you can have some 50-yard bombs that you're just throwing up and saying, hey, big fella, go get it. And that's what I like about T. Higgins. But his route running is one thing you didn't see a ton at Clemson, because a lot of his routes were just digs, goes, hitches, and slants. So he didn't have a lot of double move stuff or a lot of post, corner post, and some of the routes you see guys like Devontae Adams run. But in this offense, we know the play action for the Vikings was huge, and T. Higgins is a guy that can still get behind the defense and play action, but he's also a guy that Kirk Cousins can take a chance with. And that's what you often need, because we know Stefon Diggs was his deep guy, I'm going to take a chance. T. Higgins could be his deep guy, I'm going to take a chance, but it's more of a balloon throw. Just throw it up if you are in danger, and hopefully Kirk Cousins can have the faith in a guy like T. Higgins. I really like T. Higgins. Like, he is my number one guy because he can fall right to that 22, 25 spot for the Vikings without having to do any more to go get him.
Let's close your five out here with LAVISKA SHENAULT out of Colorado.
Over the middle, complete, room to run, catch and run, first down. SHENAULT has even more room to run. Goodbye, LAVISKA SHENAULT.
I mean, if you look at Deebo Samuel, if you look at Anquan Bolden, and you put a little bit more speed on those guys, that's what you have in LAVISKA SHENAULT. I mean, he's 230 pounds, and when you say that on a 6-foot frame, 6'1" frame, you think running back. He lives in the weight room, I feel like. Like, I feel like he goes to sleep at night and his bunk bed is actually a bench press machine. And, you know, he's just benching the top bunk every night because the guy is built. And so when you watch him return kicks, I mean, you think about losing a guy like Marcus Shiro. You think about not wanting to put Mike Hughes back there on punt because he's going to be your number one corner. LAVISKA SHENAULT can come in and actually be that guy to return kicks and punts. He's extremely dangerous, but he's also a bowling ball. When he gets the ball on kickoff, if you watch him, he runs through guys like Juggernaut. I mean, he's running through guys and it's taking multiple hits before he's going down. And he's the same way when he gets the ball in his hands. A guy like LAVISKA SHENAULT reminds me of how Deebo Samuels, you watched him in the Super Bowl, you watched him in the NFC Championship game, you watched him versus the Vikings, and Samuel gets the ball and he runs hard. That's what SHENAULT does. And I think he's a guy that also you don't have to jump up to get him. You can get him at 25. You also can get him in the second round where he could become that Michael Thomas guy that drops down to the second round, or even a Juju guy that drops to the third round, because there's so many receivers out there and he becomes very productive like Juju was to the Steelers and like Mike Thomas was to the Saints. SHENAULT is a guy that's kind of under the radar because he went to Colorado, so you don't see a ton of his games on TV. But when you turn the film on, he runs hard and he runs angry.
Ron, I love it. You're the best of the best. I can't wait to see which one of these guys wind up in purple and how many of them might. And I can't wait to see you talking about them on Sundays. Thank you so much for doing this. And Viking fans, remember, we're going to keep going position by position and breaking things down for you as we walk up to the draft. We'll see you guys soon.